Good evening, everyone. I'm David Johnson of Transform Ed Consulting, and I would be remiss if I did not mention my dear friend and colleague's name and her company as well. Cassandra Williams is the brains behind Educational Innovations 360 Degrees, and there's all our information: Transform Ed Consulting and Educational Innovations. You can find us on LinkedIn, or you can find us on our web pages as well. And we have as our guest this evening Ms. Tiffany W. Brown. Hello, Tiffany.
Hi, David. How are you?
I'm doing good. You might tell us where you are in the world.
I am in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Shreveport, Louisiana. What's happening in Shreveport?
It's raining.
Raining.
It's raining. Yeah,
Oh,
it's been a rainy day today.
uh-huh. But you haven't, you're beyond the hurricane that we had just recently,
Oh,
Hurricane
yes.
Beryl, and there was another one afterwards, too.
Yes, so many look like they go through, but Burrow kind of missed us. So we got a lot of rain and some tornadoes from it. But
Mhm.
yeah, that was a
Well,
wild.
cool. Thanks for being here.
Well,
Tiffany Brown, CEO, Principal Consultant, TWB Elite Consulting LLC, Shreveport, Louisiana, is an educator with over 30 years' experience serving as a classroom teacher, an instructional coordinator, an assistant principal, a district RTI coach, and a special ed instructional specialist. Ms. Brown holds a Bachelor of Arts in Elementary Education from Louisiana State University, a master's degree in Educational Administration and Supervision from Centenary College of Louisiana. She is currently pursuing a Doctor of Philosophy in Christian Counseling. Ms. Brown is committed to growing the skill set of teachers and staff and helping them rediscover and recommit to their why. She has a passion for helping educators become the best version of themselves so that they may guide students' journey to their fullest academic, social, and behavioral potential. My goodness, Tiffany, you have a very interesting background. Tell us about your journey, your own journey in becoming an expert in behavior management.
okay. Well, I will say my mother was an educator, and most of my family are educators. So it kind of was already in the family. Never thought that I would go the administrative route. Just always kind of thought I would, remain in the classroom. But I had a wonderful principal who kind of led a lot of us out to try to become administrators, and he was a great mentor for me. So I ended up teaching 6 years, and then beyond that, I started in as a role in the role as an instructional coordinator. Then you've already read all of the roles I've had. So because of the fact that I was an assistant principal of an elementary school, much of my job was working with students who were being sent to the office for discipline issues. So I also was a PBIS facilitator as an assistant principal. So it was kind of like I was on two ends where I had to try to figure out where to meet, because I also had to promote and facilitate the positive behavior intervention supports. But on the other end, there were times that I had to you know do the punishments, or I hate to just say the punishments, maybe punitive measures. And sometimes teachers thought that I just need to remain on the end of the punitive measures and not look at how we can help change student behavior. So I believe that all of us, none of us are perfect, even as adults, and we all should be able to learn from mistakes. And I feel like that children need to be given that pass because they're children, and
Now,
they
you
need to be
mentioned that
taught.
you were an instructional coordinator, so that implies that you have great expertise in pedagogy.
I would hope so.
Well, tell us how you developed that expertise.
Well, being in the classroom a lot, helping teachers coming in and going through curriculum matters, and so a lot of I feel like instruction was my strong suit, and so just I never stopped teaching, even though I was not actually a teacher. anytime that there was opportunities for trainings, I made sure that I was doing those trainings with the teachers so that when I went in, I could support them because I would have known what they've gotten trained in. So
Hmm.
I just believe that, you know, I feel like even as a principal, I had to be an instructional leader. I had to let them know that academics and instruction was the most important part because we wanted to impact student achievement. So we had
Hmm.
to make sure we were giving our students the best
And I
instruction.
understand that you do some things beyond running your own firm. What would those things be?
Well, I am a contractor or independent consultant, professional development consultant for Branching Minds, which is an MTSS company. So I get a chance to do trainings on MTSS. I also am a LSUS is my alma mater, and I'm a university supervisor there. So I get a chance to work with student teachers along with Western Governor University. I'm sure you've heard of that, WGU. So I do that for those two universities. And then I am an online observer for a company called TeachAway. So I stay connected with working with teachers, especially teachers who are just beginning their careers.
Now I gotta demonstrate my ignorance. NTTS.
Yes.
What is that?
Well, you remember RTI, you know, which is
Right.
response to intervention, right? So now,
Hmm.
and that just really delve into um, reading and math. So with MTSS, it's looking at the whole student. It's looking at the holistic approach. So it's
Okay.
called multi-tiered system of support.
Okay. Oh, I heard it differently. I heard N and you it was the M. Yes.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
M. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. All right. I recognize that. I
Okay.
recognize that. Well, Tiffany, we have as our topic today our community circle, creating a safe space for all students to succeed. We have 5 bullets. A thriving classroom community is vital for holistic success. It starts with you, the teacher mindset, power in the P's, the classroom vision. Everyone has a voice. Where would you like to start?
Well, I think I'd like to start with that everyone has a voice first because students have to feel like they're seen and heard and included. And if everyone has a voice, then they are more likely to take risk.
Hmm.
They're more likely to, you know, take those challenges, learn from one another. It helps them to promote, you know, SEL, which is that social emotional learning.
Hmm.
It helps boost their confidence. It's just, I just feel like it's so important to be a part of a community, even as an adult. So having said that, in a classroom, children have to feel like they belong and they have to feel like they're a family. I used to call my students my family. We were a
Well, I have
family
a
of,
couple of questions. All
okay,
right. I'm familiar with SEL.
okay.
And in your conversation about community, how is it that SEL became almost a necessary part of what we do in school buildings? And did it replace something else, or is it completely fresh and new, an entirely new concept that no one had ever exercised before?
Well, I'm going to say, in my experience, I've always felt like, and many of us were already doing SEL, we just didn't necessarily have a name for it. Because when we were connecting and building relationships with our children, we knew if there were some social issues that they may have had, we could kind of connect with that and try to get them some help. So I always felt like, as a teacher, I was already doing that. I don't think it's something that's brand new. I think it's something that we have been doing and we need to continue to do to
Mhm.
ensure that we help students who are coming to school that may be anxious. They may have some sort of trauma that they've experienced, and we want to make sure that we're providing a safe space for them to come to when they're with us at least 8 hours of a day.
So SEL was just putting a name to something that was already happening.
In my opinion, yes.
Okay. And then community. How would you define community and what makes a community special?
Well, I feel like a community is a safe space where you can be yourself. Um, People can express themselves and be accepted for who they are, and it just gives you a feeling of just overall support, you know, collaborativeness, working together, cooperation, helping to solve problems as a group of people. So as I stated before, I feel like even with students, We need to make sure we have that community in the classroom. For the whole school. The whole school needs to be a community. And then I know as adults, we need a community. We still,
Hmm.
even as teachers, we need to have that self care, and we need to be around a group of people that's going to give us that safe space as well.
Now, there are a couple of words you used, and I'd like to dig into some of those words: vital and holistic. Why vital?
Well, I just feel like vital is like it's so important. If we don't build that community, a lot of our students won't learn, they won't grow, they won't thrive. You're always going to have students that are going to come in and can work in almost any setting, but for the most part, we want to make sure that we are addressing any student that's coming in where they have, as I mentioned before, some trauma. They may not have the best home life, and we want them to come in to feel that they are just as important as anyone else, and we want them to thrive. We want
Mhm.
them to do well academically, to do well behaviorally, and to be able to fit in socially.
And then, what's your definition of holistic? What does it all entail? What is it composed of?
Well, it composes, in my opinion, of the students' academics, also their social emotional well-being, their behavior, and then of course you're looking at their attendance. Are they coming to school? Are they happy when they come to school? I know many times we hear teachers say, well, you should come to school ready to learn. I don't think any child really sets out to not come to school ready to learn, but sometimes some of the issues they may be going through can hinder that ability to want to come in and learn. And I know that can be challenging for teachers as well. So we
Hmm.
want to make sure that all students feel that they have a part when they come to school, and that they are cared for, and they're going to be supported so they can
Hmm.
do their best academically.
What is one thing a teacher, a principal, an educator could do to make a student feel cared for and welcome?
Well, just acknowledging them, trying to find out more about them. Um, I've this may sound very simple, but I think it works. I've seen it work in summer schools as well as in my regular school. Because when I say summer schools, because a lot of times we're only with those students for a few days, but I still felt like we had a bond. So letting them come in and explain who they are,
Hmm.
maybe do I used to call it a super kid, but they would go home and parents would fill out some information about them that made them important and stand out, and then we would put those pictures, any pictures they wanted to share with us, anything that they do that tells us more about, if there's a sports, anything, we would hang that up, and we would highlight that for the week. And I saw that that really helped children who I don't think may have opened up as quickly. It seemed as though they were like, oh, wow, my turn is going to be next. And in summer school, we didn't do it about a week, we did it every day. So I was glad. And this was with fourth graders, and they were excited. So I just feel like you have to make kids feel like they're important and allow them to express who they are.
Hmm. Well, the next topic, the next bullet is it begins with you or starts with you, the
Uh-huh.
teacher mindset. What does that mean?
Well, I want to just say that we always have to think about it does start with us, and however we present our classroom is what is gonna that's what the kids are going to see. So we want to make sure that we take care of ourselves first, and then we want to make sure that we have high expectations for our students and for ourselves, and holding ourselves accountable, even holding some of our colleagues accountable, because sometimes, negativity can spread like a virus. So sometimes you'll hear some things and it can really hinder what you're doing in your room. But you need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself first, and you have that growth mindset with yourself so that you can extend that to your students in the classroom.
Let's talk a little bit more about taking care of yourself first. You and I were speaking about many teachers, many times teachers leave the profession at or before the 5 year point.
Mhm.
And my experience, and according to what I read as well, a lot of it is driven by burnout.
Yes.
So, how could new teachers avoid burnout that would lead to them leaving the profession at or before the 5 year point?
I'm going to talk really quickly about. I know the slide says our community circle, and we're talking about students. So I call that the student edition.
Mhm.
But I also believe in us, as I mentioned before, adults having a community. It's great to have a family. We know we go home to our families and they really help us, but you need to still be around a group of like-minded people that can keep, reminding you that you're in that profession that makes all others possible. And so I have created a virtual community called Our Community Circle, and I call that one the Teacher Edition. And within that community, I would suggest whether it's a virtual or it's, some you're on site with some people, that you surround yourself with positivity, that you promote self-awareness yourself. I mean, teachers need SEL as well. And it helps you build that resilience and that confidence, because there are going to be days that things go wonderfully well, but there are going to be a lot more days that that might not happen. And
Mhm.
sometimes we tend to internalize when a child is acting up or something doesn't go our way, and then we internalize it and we blame ourselves. And we need to not blame ourselves. We're human. I used to always say, as long as I can go home at night and I know I can put my head on my pillow and know I've done the very best I could for students that day. That's what I know I've done my best. So
Now,
that's
would that be included in your description or conversation about mindset?
Yes. Yes, it could be. Because if I really am a big proponent in that Dr. Dreck, who talks about the fixed and the growth mindset. So if teachers kind of sometimes have a fixed mindset, then they're limiting themselves in what they can do, and sometimes they're limiting their students and what they think their students can do. So even our struggling babies, we still want to build that confidence in them, because they may not always say high expectations. If you set your expectations here, then that's where they're only going to go to that where you've put that limit. But if you set those expectations high, they may not get here, but they are moving toward it. And that's what we're trying to do, just to grow students.
Yep. Understood, understood. And there's an expression I heard many, many years ago that I will not repeat here, but it had to do with the stars. It's better to aim for the stars and miss than to aim for something else and hit it. So we won't
Well,
go there. We
we won't
won't
go
go there. All right, your next bullet is the power of the P's. What are
there.
the
Okay.
P's?
So I was trying to think about, like, there's power in community. And of course, power starts with a P. And so I was like, okay, well, we're looking at what is your purpose? I know everybody always talks about purpose, but truly, if you are a teacher, you have a purpose. There's a purpose that you went into teaching. So what is your purpose? Thinking about that. Then once you kind of decide what that purpose is, and you're thinking about your philosophy, your classroom vision, all of that, then what is your plan? Because we know if we don't plan, we plan to fail. That's why we have to do lesson plans. That's why we have to do, school improvement plans. So we want to make sure that we plan. And that may take a little time to think about how you're going to structure your classroom to promote that positive community that you want. Will things change? Yes, because your students may not be exactly, you may not, when you're first starting school, you don't know your students. So that community is going to evolve, but you want to have a plan, and you can deviate from it if you need to. Then, of course, so that's telling us what to do. And then, of course, you have the process. So that's going to tell us how we're going to do it. And then you have the actual practice. How are you going to implement these tasks and these actions to make sure that your community is effective and efficient, and it runs like a well-oiled machine?
All right, so four P's:
Four P's.
purpose,
Purpose.
plan. Go ahead, you list them, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Purpose, plan, process, and practice.
Practice. Okay. The power of the four P's. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay.
You're
Our
welcome.
next topic or our next bullet is the classroom vision. Um, when I read that as one of your bullets, I thought, we hear the word vision so often. And the question in this case is whose vision? Teacher's vision, school's vision, district's vision?
Hmm.
I get confused with the vision. I
I
have my
know.
vision, but my vision is not so important if I'm part of a community or part of an institution or part of a school where we should all accept and strive to achieve a single vision or a common vision. So, how do you define vision in this case?
Well, in this case, I am talking about the classroom because I'm back to, if you are the teacher and you have decided that this is your calling, you want to make sure that when your students come to you, you have an end in sight. You're looking at a big picture. So you're thinking about, I know a lot of times, because I've been on, I've had different roles. So I've been a teacher and I've been a principal. So as a teacher, I'm thinking about the students within my four walls. But when I was a principal, I had to think about the whole campus. So you're thinking about that big picture and of the students that you have in your room right now, and what does that image look like to you, and how does that extend beyond your classroom? Because we know that we want our students to grow and do well because we want them to succeed in life. So you're thinking about what is going to, if I am having a bad day, if I can just revert back to my vision, that's going to keep me focused and trying to do what I need to do each and every day. So I like to look at it that way because it kind of helps me to refocus, especially when school life happens and we know how things can, can be challenging at times. But I just kind of feel like if you look at what is my end goal, what do I want my students when they leave out of my classroom on the last day, would I have done what I need to do to help them be successful for the next part of their life, for their next part of their journey?
Well, how does one develop a vision?
Well, I'm sure you've heard people use vision boards a lot, and I do believe in doing boards. And I have done a workshop with some teachers where I found these sticker sayings type things, and we put them in the middle. And I said, pick any sticker that you feel like resonates with you and what you want to happen in your classroom. And then it wasn't an actual vision board, but we did it on a piece of stationery paper, and they were able to take that back to the classroom with them and have it posted so it reminds them of what they want that classroom to look like on a daily basis.
You're suggesting, of course, that this vision is developed by teachers.
Yes, because
Does
it's
it
that.
align with the grade, with the school, with the district?
Well, yes, because we know that the school and the district is going to have a vision. So of course it should align, and we know most of the time that vision is the fact that we want to impact student achievement. And so, yes, that it would align with that. But I feel like because that's that teacher's safe haven, that they really need to focus on what they want to see in their particular classroom so that it can align with what the school is doing as a whole.
Hmm. Now, of course, you know the expression, if you're up to your neck in alligators, it's hard to remember that your purpose was to drain the pool.
I
Now,
don't think I've ever heard that.
and you live in Louisiana, you know alligators. So, how does vision fit in with the day to day? Again, if you're up to your neck in alligators, it's hard to remember that your purpose was to achieve a particular vision. So, how does that fit?
Well, that's what I was thinking about with the big picture. It's that plan that you put in place, it's that process. You're not going to get there tomorrow, but it's small steps that's going to get you to that overall big picture.
Hmm. I'm also wondering if there's a relationship with mindset.
It is. All of that fits together. It
Would you
all
elaborate, please?
well, if my mindset is on a if I'm have that growth mindset, then my vision is going to um extend into wanting to look at growth, because that's what I think about when I think about vision. I'm looking at the growth. And so that's going to extend to it's like it all aligns together. That's going to help you to build that community, because that community is going to help you get to that overall big picture vision that you want of growth for all students, not just some, but all students. And then you have to have that growth mindset as the teacher, because if you are limited in what you're thinking, it's going to be hard to help students to build confidence and help them grow and raise that student achievement and
Hmm.
impact outcomes.
Wow, Tiffany, all these things are tied together. I'm thinking of mindset, I'm thinking of self care, I'm
Hmm.
thinking of vision, I'm thinking
Hmm.
of the alligators. So, where does self care fit in with when you're up to your neck in the alligators?
You have to make time for the self-care, in my opinion. And I know it's very difficult to do that when you know that you might have a stack of papers waiting on you, and you have to cook dinner at home, and you're having to write lesson plans and do all the other tasks that teachers have to do. But it's so important for you to take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, you won't be able to take care of your students, won't be able to take care of your family.
Hmm.
So with that self-care, that's why I was mentioning about, get you some like-minded teachers that y'all want to. I know it's people may say, oh, you want to change the world. Well, we can change the world. It may just be about one student at a time, but we can do that. But you need to make sure that you align yourself with people that are going to support your your vision, your way of thinking. I just will say this: I know I stayed out of the lounge. I'm not telling people to do that. I'm saying that's what I did, because
Hmm.
most of the time I would hear, sometimes people talking about students, sometimes just not the kind of talk I need to hear. And if I was already having a hard day, I didn't really want that to impact me. So I
Hmm.
would just stay out of there. So I'm not telling people to do that, but I'm saying that just think about who you're around and what you're listening to, because we tend to become what we listen to.
Hmm.
So and that self-care, you gotta be intentional about it.
Hmm. Well, our last bullet is everyone has a voice. Would you elaborate on that, please?
Well, I think we kind of started with that, and it's a great way to end. So, I was stating before that a community is built on relationships where everybody feels included and valued, seen, and heard. You want a classroom where students are doing a lot of the talking, not at the wrong time, but you do want them to feel comfortable that they can express who they are and take those risks. I like to think about building a community like building a house. You have to have a very strong foundation. That foundation, in my opinion, should start with the emotional part. Like I stated, some kids are going to come to school and that won't be an issue, but you're going to have some that need to have some social stability. And before they all even learn, before, I hate to say it this way, but before they may behave the way you're needing them to, or before they can learn academically, we have to start at that foundation. So
Hmm.
once we start at that foundation, then we can build on with the behavior, and then we can build and help with that academics, and then that's going to help them be holistically well-rounded.
Well, Tiffany, we've covered a lot of topics here.
Okay.
If you could boil it down to a takeaway, what would it be?
Well, I want to say again, just take care of yourself. If you can find a group of like-minded people, if that means that's somebody at your church, somebody that you can go walk with, take care of yourself and find people that have a like mind so that you all can support one another. I know I stated it before, but I do have a virtual community. And right at this point, my virtual community, I am um, inviting teachers with 0 to 5 years of experience.
Hmm.
However, eventually I do want that to expand.
Hmm.
But saying that to say, I just think that's going to help us retain teachers and keep them in that profession that makes all other ones
Hmm.
possible.
And what's the call to action? What do you want people to do with this information?
Well, I'm going to tell them to go to our community circle if they'd like to know more information.
Hmm.
There is a landing page with a video that tells you a little bit about what to expect in the community.
Hmm.
However, you can also reach out to me at Tiffany at TWB Elite Consulting. I know it's
Hmm.
on the screen, the website, but if you needed my email is Tiffany at. And if you have any questions or I can help or support you anyway, I would love for you to reach out to me.
Hmm. Well, thank you for being our guest. Tiffany Brown, CEO, Principal Consultant of TWB Elite Consulting LLC in Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm David Johnson, Transform Ed Consulting. And again, a shout out to my dear friend and colleague, Cassandra Williams, for allowing us to use her channel. Thank you
Yeah.
for being with us this evening and look forward to seeing you next time.